Coming up on Cedar Valley Today, we'll take a look on what it takes to make an apple. And later, we talk with the Waverly Health Clinic about National Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
And a Waverly bakery is reopening under a new name. This is Cedar Valley Today. Hello and welcome to Cedar Valley Today. I'm Brady Van Sickle.
And I'm Kaylin Thompson. After a year of baking and selling cupcakes with her 4-year-old daughter Evie, Katie Newman made the decision to open up her own bakery right here in Waverly.
And as Ashley Davis reports, this bakery won't be your ordinary bakery.
Downtown Waverly has been home to many different businesses. And after a few more weeks of construction and decorating, EVIE'S will open its doors to the community.
We thought, what better place than in the middle of Main Street, in a place that people already know as the bakery. And then on top of that, we can help bring, a piece of downtown back to life.
EVIE'S will be serving baked goods and pastries just like the Waverly Home Bakery once did. But also hot breakfast and lunch, free delivery, and some healthier options will be added to the menu. Everything will be locally grown and made fresh daily.
My goal is to make people happy and be here for a really long time. I want to give people something they're familiar with and comfortable with, and something new and different at the same time.
After over 63 years of being the Waverly Home Bakery, 114 East Bremer Avenue will soon be home to EVIE'S. The Waverly Home Bakery closed for good earlier this year. This left a void in the lives of many people in the community.
I think people miss that hometown, and family. It was a family business too, so people do miss it. They tell me they do.
After decades of owning the Waverly Home Bakery with her husband, Wollenzine has some advice for Newman.
You just have to give it time and persevere and work hard and have a good product.
Newman is hoping to open her bakery yet this fall. For Cedar Valley Today, I'm Ashley Davis.
EVIE'S will offer a variety of breads, cakes, and cookies. They will also be offering smoothies as well as gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegan meals for customers.
The Waverly Municipal Band welcomes a new amphitheater. The new amphitheater was officially completed this week, but has been in progress for the past 3 years. One of the lead architects of the project started it during their last year at Iowa State University and is also a native to the Waverly community. The project is valued at $300,000. It has been funded from grants and fundraising done by the Waverly Greater Municipal Band. The amphitheater is planned to be used for weddings, church services, concerts, and more.
Shellshock, the newest bug being exploited by hackers, could create problems for the public. A virus can be unknowingly downloaded and lay dormant in a computer, tablet, or phone until activated by the faulty operating software. 95% of the top 500 supercomputers are possibly at risk. These supercomputers are owned by companies and governments worldwide. Apple said it will not send out an update to attempt to patch up the issue.
Since September 26th, Hong Kong has been protesting against China after China tried to force approval on their candidates for chief executive. Hong Kong is trying to break away from China and start their own democratic government. Students lead these protests, and China and Hong Kong have agreed to peace talks starting Friday the 10th. One Wartburg College student from Hong Kong gave her perspective on the conflict.
Hong Kong people just don't like the China try to control us. But yeah, we just want to make our choices, to vote our own chief executive.
Some airport workers are being trained to kill the Ebola virus. The training is being held by a union group that represents workers who clean terminals, airplanes, and transport passengers in wheelchairs. The point of the training? To clean and sanitize any place in an airport with possible Ebola exposure. The group uses guidelines from the CDC and World Health Organization.
A Syrian rights group says ISIS now controls 1/3 of the Turkish border town of Kobani. That comes as the U.S. military says it launched 8 airstrikes against ISIS targets near the town Wednesday. But the Pentagon says airstrikes alone will not save the town from falling to ISIS.
And now with us, we have Elizabeth Jewett with a first look at weather.
Thank you, Kaylin. We're looking at another beautiful, crisp fall day, starting off the morning with a high of about 38 degrees, and as we move on throughout the day, noon we're looking at a high of about 51, and as we move on to about 5 o'clock p.m. we're seeing a high of about 54 degrees. Tomorrow we're looking at a high at 8 a.m. of 35 degrees. At noon we're looking at a high of 52, and at 5 p.m. we're looking at a high of about 57 degrees. So it's going to be a beautiful day and weekend moving on.
Been definitely a little bit crisper than what we're used to, but perfect timing for a nice fall weekend.
Finally feeling like fall.
Leading up to National Coming Out Day on Saturday, Wartburg Alliance held a series of events for students to express their gender and sexual orientation. The week kicked off with Alliance reaching out to students. Students wrote about messages about who they're coming out for, and around 50 people attended the coming out panel on Wednesday. Mackenzie Shanks, who shared her coming out story, says she noticed something was different about her. Now, Shanks embraces her differences. On Thursday, a presentation was held for the history of coming out. Alliance President Kate Huffman says Coming Out Week embraces Alliance's Nights for Equality campaign.
Coming Out Week fits into that really well because we want Wartburg to be a place where everyone feels safe to be themselves. Everyone feels accepted and welcome, and we want Wartburg to be an equal, safe place for everyone.
And coming up on Cedar Valley Today, we sit down with the Waverly Health Clinic to talk about breast cancer awareness. Stay with us.
We're going to go ahead and look at our weather for today, starting at 8 a.m. with a high of about 38 degrees. Noon, we're looking at a high of about 51, and as we move on throughout the day, we're looking at a high of 54 at 5 p.m. tonight. Tomorrow, or for this weekend, we're looking at again today a high of 57, low of 33. Tomorrow we're looking at a high of 59 degrees and a low of 38. Sunday we are seeing a possible chance of rain with a high of about 59 and a low of 48 degrees, so keep that in mind for your weekend. Our statewide highs looking about in the high 50s for the entire state. Sioux City we're looking at a high of about 58. Council Bluffs, Des Moines, and Waterloo are looking at a high of about 57. Mason City is looking at a high of about 55 degrees, and Cedar Rapids and Dubuque are looking at a high of 56. Our national highs starting off in Seattle, we're looking at a high of 66 degrees. Los Angeles is looking at a high of 79, so nice and warm for them. Out west, Denver, we're looking at a high of 60 degrees. Houston is going to be a nice and hot 90 degrees. Chicago 55. New York is looking at a high of 61 degrees. Washington, D.C., a high of 66. And Miami, a nice warm 84 degrees. For our 5-day forecast, again tomorrow we're looking at some sunny skies with a high of 59 and a low of 38. Sunday and Monday do have a possible chance of rain with a high both in the high 50s, with a high of 59, lows of 48 and 42 degrees. Tuesday we're looking at some partly sunny skies with a high of 63 and a low of 38. And Wednesday we are seeing again some sunshine with a high of 65 and a low of 44. We're going to go ahead and send it back to you guys.
Thanks, Elizabeth. October is nationally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. According to the American Cancer Society, breast cancer impacts 1 out of 8 women. The cause of breast cancer remains unknown, with 75% of women that are diagnosed showing no known risk factors. Joining us now to discuss breast cancer and its causes is the manager of the radiology department at the Waverly Health Center, Lisa Ellerman. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I wonder if you could start off talking to us about what are some of the common risk factors that would put a woman at risk for breast cancer?
A lot of the risks deal with age of a woman when they're premenopausal, before age of 50 or so. The hormone levels kind of go up and down, and so that puts you at a bigger risk there.
Now, the American Cancer Society estimates that about 40,000 women die annually due to breast cancer, but they're saying that early detection can help prevent that. Can you tell us what the benefits are of an early diagnosis?
Well, early diagnosis is huge in the battle against cancer. If we diagnose a tumor early, we can basically just eliminate the tumor, take it out, do some treatments, and the women can go on with a normal life.
And now, October obviously is recognized as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. What are some of the benefits from this raised awareness in the month of October?
Well, I think it just brings, like you said, the awareness out there again. It's getting to the point now, though, that I think women know the risks, they know the importance of being screened, but it just kind of just puts that back in their mind again, and it makes them pay attention to, have I had my mammogram done this year? Maybe I need to get in there.
And now, when people talk about breast cancer, obviously most of the central talk is on women, but what many people don't know is that men are also at risk for getting breast cancer. It's not as big of a risk with only 1 out of every 1,000 men being diagnosed with breast cancer. But for men, what should we look for, since it's not something we normally think about?
Right, exactly. 1% of men do get breast cancer. So it's important just to kind of notice if you're in the shower and you're bathing, you just kind of pay attention if you feel a lump on either side, or if somehow something just doesn't look the same from right to left side, then it's very important to get it and checked out.
And now, along with that, for men, what are some of our risk factors, since it's not a very common thing that we should look for?
I don't know that there's a real risk other than strong family history. You know, if a gentleman's mother, grandmother, sister were diagnosed, he does actually have an increased risk.
And now, what are some of the ways a woman can decrease her risk of getting breast cancer, going back to that focus?
Sure. Women, of course, healthy lifestyle, exercise, hormones. You know, if you're going through menopause, there's a big controversy, or has been for years, about whether to take hormones or not. So that's something obviously to discuss with your provider, but that's one thing you can do to help reduce the risk.
And now you mentioned the hormone things. That has been a big controversy over the last few years. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, hormones for a while were kind of shunned, shouldn't take them at all. And then they've realized that it was kind of a combination of estrogen and progesterone that was causing the potential cancer risk. So they've altered the estrogen hormone balance, and that's seemed to eliminate the issue.
And now, with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, obviously there's a lot of great campaigns out there. For those looking to donate or support breast cancer awareness and prevention, do you have any particular groups that they could look for?
Sure. Obviously, the American Cancer Society. Tonight at the Waverly Shellshock High School football game, I will be there along with Waverly Health Center, and we will be passing the hat to collect money for the American Cancer Society. And what they do is they focus mainly on finding ways to prevent cancer and ways to cure cancer. So they're dealing more with prevention and that type of thing. They do have some programs available to help with transportation. I also belong to I'm a member of the group Beyond Pink Team, and the Beyond Pink Team, we raise money for people in the local community in the Cedar Valley. So if a woman is diagnosed with cancer, the last thing she should have to worry about is transportation or food or even rent payments. So what we do is we have grant money available for these women, and that helps them out.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Sure, thank you.
For those wanting to learn more about breast cancer and breast cancer prevention, visit the wartburgcircuit.org. Next on Cedar Valley Today, hear how the Northeast Iowa Food Bank will be able to help more of the Cedar Valley.
A new co-op for the Cedar Falls Waterloo area is in the works. Sustainability Coordinator for Wartburg College, Ann Duncan, said that this new co-op will focus not only on organic items, but on providing local and sustainably grown products to the community.
The Roots Market that used to be in Cedar Falls was that way, and there were times where, and this is really just my opinion as a user and a former shopper, there would be times where they would have a product that came from outside the country because it was cheaper for them to get it organically from outside the country than to get it, even though it may be in season in Iowa, from a farmer just down the road. And so we're really looking at a balance of local, sustainable, organic, healthy options.
The Northeast Iowa Food Bank won a $60,000 grant to support hunger relief initiatives. Walmart sponsored the contest titled Fight Hunger, Spark Change. Here with us this morning is Executive Director of the Northeast Iowa Food Bank, Barbara Prather. Thanks for joining us this morning, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So how did you find out about this contest?
We found out about it through Feeding America, our national organization. Working with over 200 food banks nationwide, we were eligible to apply for this grant opportunity, and we were one of 128 nationally that was chosen.
Wow. So how did the application process, how did you do that?
It was just like a grant application. You had to tell them a couple things. What would you use the money for? And secondly, $15,000 of that money has to go back to local food pantries in the community, and you could pick how many you wanted to do that. So we put the proposal together, and applied for our perishable and produce program, which provides nutritious food to Northeast Iowa, and then we picked 5 nonprofit member agencies that would each get $3,000.
Okay, so what were some of those nonprofit agencies you chose?
Right here in Waverly, it's the Bremer County Community Action for their food pantry, First Lutheran Church food pantry in Decorah, Independence Food Pantry in Independence, Montezuma Food Pantry, and Manchester, the Delaware County Food Pantry.
Okay, so what other plans do you have for the grant?
The money is going to actually go to help us underwrite our costs for picking up perishable products as well as bringing in fresh produce. 6 days a week, we have trucks that go out to all the area grocery stores and Walmarts throughout our counties that we serve, predominantly in the Waverly, Waterloo, Cedar Falls area, but we do pick up at Walmarts in the outlying communities as well. And that will help us underwrite that, as well as working with our national donors to bring in fresh produce, going out to farms to pick up fresh produce, that kind of thing, because we want to make sure that we're providing the most nutritious food to people in need.
Okay, so can you explain some of the programs you guys have?
We have a number of programs that provide food and grocery products to people in need through member agencies or through programs that we have. Our core program is providing food and grocery product to about 200 nonprofit organizations in a 16-county area, as well as our backpack program that provides 122 schools in Northeast Iowa with kid-friendly food for kids on weekends, and we're currently serving about 4,000 kids through that program. The Cedar Valley Food Pantry, which provides emergency and supplemental food to people in need in the Cedar Valley, currently serving on average about 1,800 households every month. Those are just a few of the programs that we have. Last year we distributed over 6 million pounds of food, which is a record for us, a lot of it having to do with our new building because we now have a place that we can bring in the product, store it, and distribute it.
Okay, so your website says you have 11 mobile pantries. How does that work?
Our 11 mobile pantries target communities that are either underserved or their pantry isn't open evenings and weekends. And so how we define that is we look at target areas that might need a little extra help. There's actually one here in Waverly, there's one in Shellshock, and then we also have mobile pantries in Independence, West Union, Cresco, Guttenberg, down in Malcolm, Iowa. So they're all over the place, but we try to get the food out to the communities where we know that there's some extra need, or helping out that pantry by being open on, giving an opportunity for people to get food on evenings and weekends.
Okay, so how do community members get involved?
The best way for them to get involved is to call the food bank at 319-235-0507, and we can get them, we can coordinate them into coming in and doing a project, or they can, we'll target them to a pantry in their community that they might be able to help with. But there's all kinds of opportunities, but the best way is to call the food bank, check out our website, www.northeastiowafoodbank.org, or even, as I said, call the food bank.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very
morning.
much.
To learn more about the Northeast Iowa Food Bank, you can visit their Waterloo location or check out the Wartburg Circuit. And coming up on Cedar Valley Today, we take a look at a local apple orchard and harvest season. Stay with us. One local Nashua family opened their orchard this fall for families to enjoy fresh apples.
Cedar Valley Today's Alyssa Kozak got an inside look on what it takes to grow an apple.
After 6 years of hibernation, a fall tradition in the Cedar Valley is back. Darren Enderton and his wife began welcoming visitors once again to the orchard known as Apples on the Avenue.
We were able to put the money together and buy it. And, I put a lot of hours in here, so we just decided it was the next best move for us.
With a degree in horticulture, the Endertons have over 20 different kinds of apples for families to pick.
Some of my more popular varieties are Harrelson, Cortland, Fireside. I have a really good tasting variety called Prairie Spy, which tastes probably the most similar to a Gala or Fuji.
Enderton puts a lot of work day in and day out to keep the orchard in tip-top shape by tracking the temperature and moisture. This allows him to prevent certain diseases and unwanted insects. This year, a new honeybee farm moved in down the road, giving the orchard plenty of bees to pollinate the flowers, providing an increase in produce.
My trees are loaded this year. I actually have a heavier crop this year than last year, and last year it was a bumper crop. throughout Iowa.
As the season comes to an end, all the apples are now ripe for picking, along with a pumpkin patch to pick out your favorite fall decoration.
I'd like to kind of reestablish ourselves as a great place for people to come if they want to relax in the fall.
Reporting for Cedar Valley Today, I'm Alyssa Kozak.
And for more information on where to find apples on the Ave, please visit the Wartburg Circuit.
And coming up on Cedar Valley Today,
we take a look at this year's Outflies festivities.
Stay with us.
The long-awaited day finally came for Wartburg students this week.
On Tuesday, students celebrated the annual Outfly. Cedar Valley Today's Christina Alexander was there for all the festivities.
At Wartburg College, and this is Outfly 2014. Get pumped! Woo!
I just want to thank you guys all for coming out here today.
We're going to proceed over to the bell, and once we ring the bell, Outfly will have been declared.
Tuesday morning, Wartburg College students got an early alarm call. The annual tradition of Outfly had finally arrived. Every October for almost 100 years, students and faculty alike have ditched school for a day. The day was filled with events and activities such as face painting, district flag making, and a food drive for Northeast Iowa Food Bank. The day drew to a close with a movie and the seeking of student body president. For Cedar Valley Today, this is Christina Alexander.
For our final weather, we're looking at a beautiful day with a high in the high 50s today. Tomorrow we're looking in the high 59 with some sunny skies. And Sunday, we are looking at a high of 59 degrees, but with a chance of rain, so keep an eye out for that.
And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great day, Cedar Valley.